With the matters on Monarch now handled, I head back to the ship. I take a moment to go through my inventory and pass out any improved armor pieces to my companions, as well as allocate their accumulated perk points. Once they're squared away, we head to Phineas's orbital lab to check in. I never noticed it before, but right outside the door to the lab is a welcome mat with a rather ironic message drawn in the dust beside it. I guess even Phineas can be funny sometimes.
I'd clap you on the shoulder if I weren't behind a wall of bulletproof glass. I don't know how you did it, but Hiram Blythe just sent me everything I needed.
According to Hiram's intel, Minister Clark, the representative of the Earth Directorate as well as member of the board, placed a very large order for the chemical Phineas has been after, dimethyl sulfoxide. The timing seems suspicious, to be sure. The only way we'll be getting those chemicals now is from wherever he stashed them, so it looks like we're off to Byzantium, the heavily policed city owned and operated by the board of the Halcyon Holdings Corporation. As Phineas points out, simply kicking down the front door would not be the best way to go about things, so
we'll have to resort to subterfuge.
He tells me about his Byzantium contact named Carmen Imagawa, who will have all the intel we need to get started, and then he gives me his old nav key so we'll be cleared to dock within the city limits. Once our conversation has concluded, I level up to 22, raising both my science and engineering skills, and unlocking the penetrating shots perk, which makes my ranged attacks drop an enemy's armor rating by 1 point per hit, stacking up to -10. The effect of the perk only lasts about 10 seconds, but that's more than enough time to make Swiss cheese out of whatever's in front of me, so it's all good. Before we head to Byzantium, we have another task that needs completing, namely HRS 1084, the research station that Lilia Hagen asked us to take control of for her. Ada takes us to the station, and I take off. Once I get inside, the place is dead quiet. The floor is littered with trashed automechanicals, and my compass has a few hostile pings on it, but they're nowhere near this room, so I carefully look around. I find a passage to an office which has a few lootable containers and a blank UDL keycard, which will probably come in handy for something. I work my way up to a platform where the body of a scientist is laid out next to a sniper rifle and a bottle of whiskey. There's probably a story there, but I move on. The back hall leading to the kitchen has a few landmines in it, which would damn sure wake up anybody wandering through for a midnight snack. After raiding the kitchen, I make my way downstairs and find a terminal. I can only do one thing, so I modify the generator mode, whatever that means. In the changelog, I noticed everything was fine except for the station's toilet, which is not operational. I try to repair it, and it tells me a work order for it was both opened and last accessed 991 days ago. I guess the toilet was never going to get fixed, so that kind of explains the landmines around the kitchen. I go to walk away, and Ada suddenly pops up on a nearby screen.
A UDL vessel has been tracking our position and just recently docked with the station. They are patching into the station's transmission lines now. I cannot stop.
I've been waiting for this day since we tagged your ship in Cascadia, Captain. So glad we finally have this opportunity. My ship is docked with 1084. There's no escape.
I help the corporate commander understand how much I care about anything she just said, and then Ada pops back up.
The UDL gunship remains docked at the station. They must intend to board with a full squad of troops.
You done fucked up now!
I make short work of every nearby hostile and then head down to the other side of the station to continue poking around. I almost walked into a landmine at the bottom of the stairs, so I shot it, but I was too close, so now I have a concussion. Great. I bypass the door to the electrical control room and pick up some odds and ends. I check out the terminal on the desk in here, which is a tad difficult due to my blurred vision, but I still managed to enter the command to disengage the checkpoint security routine. You would think that would make my job easier, but there are still automechanicals patrolling the lab down here, so I'll have to spend a few more of my hard-earned bullets. The lab has what looks like a stasis pod in the middle with a scientist chilling inside. The log says he's alive but can't be extracted until the cure is found. Signed by Doctors Eva Chartrand and Lorelei Fall. A nice sentiment, but when Lilia gets her hands on this place, she'll probably flush that pod out of the airlock without a second thought. Now that I'm done sightseeing, I head up to the main office where I override the terminal to transfer access of the security routines for the research station over to Lilia Hagen and Sublight. I head back to the ship, and we get going, headed for the groundbreaker. Time to tell Lilia the good news. Once on board the groundbreaker, I head up to the Sublight office to let Lilia know the station is hers now. I tell her about the scientists in the pod, and she says she'll figure out what to do with them some other time. She then asks if I was met with any resistance aboard the research station, and I tell her that a UDL squad got too big for their boots.
I knew it. They've been shadowing us since Monarch, maybe even longer.
Lilia then decides to come clean about the real reasons behind the assignment she's been handing me. Before that, she asked me to keep an open mind about what I'm about to hear, so I know it's going to be good. I agree, and she hits me with,
Aliens. I'm talking about aliens. They're the ones responsible for the deaths at 1084, and who knows what else. We have to put a stop to it.
I present some follow-up questions, as you do when someone says some wild shit. After seeing how few people were researching something as dangerous as Alta Vitae gas at that facility, and why that facility was hidden on a planet where monsters outnumber people 10 to 1, Lilia is convinced that aliens, with the help of human collaborators, are utilizing the gas to change human biology at the cellular level and turn us all into something. Lilia pegs Dr. Eva Chartrand as the mastermind behind the gas experiments and wants me to take her out. She gives me a keycard to gain access to Dr. Chartrand's Byzantium estate, and I take my leave. I don't even know where to begin with all this, but what I do know is this is a problem for later. I make it back to the ship, have Ada steady us over Byzantium, and head for my room to sleep off this concussion when I spy Ellie waiting by the door. Don't make eye contact.
Can we talk?
As it turns out, Ellie is originally from Byzantium, and her parents still live there, but she hasn't spoken to them in years, so she feels compelled to stop by since we're in the neighborhood. I say okay.
Great. And when we get there, draw out your rough edges a bit. If you've got an outfit you haven't washed in a while, maybe one with some blood stains, wear that one.
I head upstairs to get some rest, then I grab Ellie and head out the door. Phineas's contact, Carmen Imagawa, is right next to the landing pad, so I head over.
Do you mind? I'm meeting someone. Oh, you mean I'm supposed to be meeting you?
I tell her to get on with it, and she brings me up to speed on the job. Minister Clark has been holed up in his estate, which is heavily guarded. Some of the guards hang around Billingsley's House of Inebriation when they're off duty, so I can try to chat one up and gain some actionable intel.
That place is still open? I used to study there during medical school.
I thank her, head to the elevator, and take a lengthy ride up to street level. As soon as I step out the elevator, I stop to admire the city when I hear someone shouting nonsense in my direction. So I go see why.
Kid, you got presence. Natural magnetism, know what I mean?
Maverick Johnston here fancies himself as one of them Hollywood types, you know? He's into big pictures and he wants me to be the star of his upcoming feature.
Space Pirates of Moros Prime. It's gonna be a hit. But we still need a star. And I think you got the chops.
I tell him I'll do it, and he tells me to head to the top floor of Odeon Pictures for my audition. I'll have to swing by later. I remember the Byzantium shopping district has a gun store, and then I see it. Forsyth Luxury Munitions. Just as lavish as I remember. His stock isn't anything to rave about, except a nice revolver I spy near the bottom of the list, which I buy for Ellie. Just in case we get into some trouble later. I take the opportunity to sell some of my junk, and then spy what looks like a barbershop. I don't remember being able to customize appearance after character creation, so out of curiosity, I head up and inside, and then immediately remember this place.
Don't speak. Hold that posture for a moment while I admire you. You have a natural contrapposto, my dear.
Thanks to my college art history class, I know what that word means.
How deliciously outre.
But I don't know that one. Anyway, Celeste Jolicoeur here is suddenly inspired by my presence and wants me to model several types of outfits for her to help her finish a brand new line of clothing she's been working on.
What I need is a survey of the outside world. What does the common laborer wear? How do the wild-eyed madmen of Monarch dress themselves? I've heard rumors, but I require samples.
Basically, I need to wear a Marauder outfit, an Iconoclast outfit, and a Spacer outfit in front of her. I'm still wearing my Iconoclast outfit, so that's one down. I'll bring the other outfits later. For now, let's get Ellie's matter settled and go see her parents. Just looking at Ellie, you'd never guess she came from all this. Her father better be wearing a monocle.
Marilyn, is that you?
Damn it.
Laws, we certainly didn't expect to see you like this.
I sort of get why Ellie told me to dress and act a certain way now, so I get into character and get swifty.
There you go again, Captain. Always menacing polite society.
Ellie's parents are not as thrilled to see their daughter as I'd imagined, and it soon becomes clear why.
Just a second. You had the floors redone with real Terran marble? Since when can you afford that?
After not hearing from Ellie for years on end, Lionel and Theodora here cashed in on Ellie's life insurance policy, after fabricating a story to explain her death on paper, of course.
We concocted a story about Celeste Jollycurl designing a pair of 12-inch heels for you.
One of a kind, naturally.
That led to your tragic death when you tripped and broke your neck.
It was quite the story. People were talking about it for weeks.
It sounds ridiculous, but after experiencing how asinine corporations can be, it shouldn't be a surprise that insurance agencies are just as absent-minded. Throughout this whole confrontation, Ellie's parents have been peppering in the notion that they want us to leave, so we do.
Fine. I'm gone. Forever this time.
Once outside, I follow up with Ellie.
Can you believe those two? We'd hardly been there a minute and they turned us out like yesterday's garbage.
Although she never admitted herself, Ellie is actually very hurt by what her parents did, and as we all know, pain is the father of revenge.
Wait a second. What if I could get that money?
Ellie has the bright idea to open a new account at the insurance agency and designate that account holder as the sole beneficiary in order to receive the policy payouts and cut her parents off. I'm pretty sure that's not how that works, but the people at the agency are probably a few signatures short of a contract, if you catch my drift, so we should be alright. The Great Halcyon Insurance Group's office is located in Fallbrook, meaning I would have to do something I really don't want to do and go back to Monarch.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
I hit level 23 and dump my skill points into long guns because it's been quite a while since I raised that skill. I then head back to the ship, steal the Marauder outfit from Felix to take to Celeste later, and then head across the system to Monarch. It was a long trip and I'm damn near dehydrated. I look for something to drink only to realize I don't have anything except caffeine or liquor, which both slightly help with hydration but deliver debuffs after their effects wear off. Any port in a storm, I guess. The caffeine drinks fix my hydration for the time being, but I need to find or buy some water as soon as possible. Ellie and I head into Fallbrook to the GHIG office to get this insurance business dealt with.
Welcome to the offices of the Greater Halcyon Insurance Group, Halcyon's premier provider of life and disaster-related insurance.
I tell her we need to change the beneficiary of Marilyn Fenhill's life insurance policy.
I remember that one. That's the young socialite who broke her neck, right?
Of course, no one remembers me for the marauders I've killed or the bits I've stolen. Typical.
The agent says the claim was airtight and their investigators couldn't find a single exclusion to avoid paying out. This should perfectly illustrate what I'm dealing with here, but
the claim spurred a whole line of fashion-related policies. It's become a very lucrative market.
Of course. I circle us back to the matter at hand, and the agent tells us that only Marilyn Fenhill can amend her policy, but she's dead. Ellie and I both let the agent know she is incorrect.
I like to think she's dead in spirit, but technically, legally, and regretfully, I'm still Marilyn Fenhill.
That's impossible. By all accounts, she was an elegant and classy woman with impossibly fine bone structure. That couldn't possibly be you.
Damn.
That's gotta be the nicest thing anyone's said to me in a long while.
I asked once again how one would go about changing the policy, and the agent tells me it would be done on the computer in the back of the office. Instead, I use intimidation to make her do it.
Please. My policy only covers paper cuts and wrist strain.
The payouts will now flow exclusively to the new account. Once outside, Ellie revels in our success.
I'm just glad my folks aren't gonna live off that awful story they made up. Maybe now they'll have to go back to real jobs.
With that settled, we head back to the ship, make the long journey back to Byzantium, and I disembark, now in need of a drink more than ever. I brought my hibernation suit along with me, hoping that it would fulfill the requirement of a spacer suit since it's a one-of-a-kind spacesuit. We'll see, I guess. After a very long wait for the elevator, and an equally long ride up to street level, I chose to go to Billingsley's House of Inebriation, hoping they served more than alcohol. I need to find an off-duty corpo to chat up for information regarding Minister Clark while I'm here, so I look around. There are only 2 armor-clad idiots in here, and one of them is me, so I go to talk to the other one when I spy the bartender mechanical off to the side.
Please allow me to improve your drinking experience with fine cocktails and pre-approved banter.
Sure enough, he has water for sale. Sweet, sweet H2O. With dehydration now a distant memory, I speak to the off-duty guard Mayfield.
Hey, stand back, you. I'm part of Minister Clark's personal detail, and that means you gotta keep 5 feet back at all times.
He's here with the boys to celebrate getting hired for Minister Clark's security detail.
That means I got a key to the minister's estate, my own personal UDL-issued shotgun. They don't give those out to just anyone.
You don't say. I offer to buy him a drink and he immediately accepts. He wants a Spectrum Red vodka in particular, of which I have none. So I buy some from the bartender mechanical behind him. I give him one.
Hey, you're really great. Have I told you that? We should be friends.
Then another.
I gotta stop. I'm seeing at least 2 of you.
Then I use my medical skill to convince him he can handle another.
Ugh. Was that one supposed to taste like Purpleberry Crunch? Or am I just tasting breakfast?
Mayfield heads to the back lounge to lie down for a bit and... Nice. I close the lounge door to give the man some privacy and then lift the key to the minister's estate off of him. Job well done. I continue on to go show Celeste my Marauder outfit and she loves it. Unfortunately, my one-of-a-kind hibernation suit does not qualify as a spacer outfit, so I'll have to come back later on with something else. I decided now's a good time to take care of Dr. Eva Chartrand, so I head for her estate and enter using the key I got from Lilia. I wonder if I can buy a place in Byzantium, because goddamn. The place is empty as far as I can tell, but I come across a terminal that controls the entrance to something called Laboratory Access, so I think that's where I need to be. I take the lift down and peer through the glass into the lab, only to find the good doctor surrounded by UDL security. Great.
That's far enough. What are you doing here? How did you even get inside?
I outright tell Dr. Chartrand I'm there to uncover an alien conspiracy, and of course, that's not at all what's happening here. Against the wishes of the UDL commander, Dr. Chartrand fills me in on her work.
I'm researching a new way to feed the colony. The crops we transplanted from Earth don't give us the nutrients we need. Our colonists might not realize it yet, but they're starving.
Those plants that were brought from Earth as the basis of food production can't keep up with demand. Between that and corporate factory processed foods and beverages, the people of Halcyon are gradually becoming weaker and sicker. The board is funding Dr. Chartrand's research into altering humans, allowing them to derive more sustenance from the nutrients that the available foods actually have. I bring up how all she has to show for her work is a lab full of her bottled colleagues, referring to the ones we found on HRS 1084, and those same doctors tested the gas on themselves because they refused to test on convicts or the unemployed. I never imagined the scientists around here to be the only ones with a conscience. Dr. Chartrand and her colleagues sent a message out to the top minds of Earth years ago via the Cornelius Vanderbilt, one of 2 Earth Directorate assault cruisers assigned to patrol the Halcyon system. The problem is, the Vanderbilt went dark. With half of the board's military might gone, they've been keeping it under wraps, likely to avoid an uprising from the dissidents they continue to create at an alarming pace. Fact of the matter is, if I kill Dr. Chartrand, she can't continue and possibly finish her work. Lucky for her, I know another outlaw scientist that she can hide out with until I'm done setting things right around here.
The one on the wanted posters? They say he's an anarchist. A madman, a butcher. I'll do it.
Doctor!
What choice do I have, Commander?
My reputation with the board just took a turn for the worse, so I think Dr. Chartrand and I should be going now.
Not so fast. Captain, what you just learned is beyond your clearance. Hell, it's beyond mine. Give me one reason why I should let you walk out of here alive. Wrong answer.
I take great care not to catch the doctor in the crossfire and get to work taking out the UDL security. However, taking the time to shoot around her and keep her from getting hit gets me killed in the process.
Wait, company ammo.
My most recent save is right before I entered Dr. Chartrand's estate, so that's not too bad. I make my way down to the lab, fast forward through the dialogue, and go on the offensive, quickly disabling the enemies before they can converge on me and before Dr. Chartrand can get in the way. With her saved, I can go. Or so I thought. I can't fast travel because now my reputation with the board is at its lowest, meaning every guard posted up on every street corner is now my enemy. Fantastic. I tried loading a previous autosave, but because I went back inside Dr. Chartrand's estate to avoid getting shot, and then left again to try to sneak back to my ship, my autosaves are all from after my reputation with the board fell. I take off like a gat out of hell trying to lose my pursuers and duck into the post office, but there's a corporate commander looking at me literally as I enter, so I back right out and try sneaking again, which does not work at all.
Fuck! Excuse me!
My only real option is to load my last manual save, which was from when I first got to Byzantium. Okay. I exit the ship with Ellie, speak to Carmen.
Do you mind?
Take the world's longest elevator, accept the audition invitation from Maverick, head into Billingsley's house of inebriation to purchase my water and 3 bottles of vodka, speak to guard Mayfield, nab the key to Minister Clark's estate, head to see Ellie's parents.
Marilyn.
Leave there, level up, head back to the ship, head to the groundbreaker, find me a spacer outfit, back to the ship, grab the other 2 outfits I'll need, fly to Fallbrook, get the insurance policy changed, back to the ship, back to Byzantium, longest elevator. And we arrived at Celeste Jolicoeur's shop.
Square your shoulders. Hand on your hip. Eyebrow cocked. Yes. Perfect. My heart is all aflutter.
I model all 3 requested outfits for her, and that part of the quest is done. She now requires materials. Primal leather from Emerald Vale, Mantiqueen chitin from Monarch, and Raptidon hide from wherever. I head back to Forsyth Luxury Munitions to repurchase that special revolver for Ellie, as well as the special marksman rifle for me. Because I want this quest to be over and done with, I first head to Emerald Vale to get the primal leather. The events of my last visit kinda slipped my mind.
But yes, Adelaide will do just fine.
I just gotta ask you, do you understand what you're about to do?
Just answer one question for me. Why'd you do it?
Spying and lies!
But luckily, the patrolling Spacer's Choice guard did not spot me on my way off the landing pad. I sprinted across the countryside, gunning down every primal I found until I had all the leather I needed, and then went back to the ship. Next stop, Monarch. I land in Cascadia because there's a Mantiqueen right outside what used to be the town walls. I gun down the queen and her brood, and then grab the chitin. Off in the distance, I see what looks like a group of Raptidons, so you know what that means. With them down for the count, I take the Raptidon hide, and we are ready to get back to Byzantium. Once I'm back at the loading docks for the 7th time, I take the elevator up for the 8th time and head over to Miss Jolicoeur's shop to drop off the materials.
I've been thinking of a name for this new outfit. Chimera. Crafted from the hides of 3 species of monster.
The outfit will not be complete without one of her signature diamond-encrusted gold lapels, so she ordered one ahead of time. The problem is they are holding it pending signature at the post office, so that's my problem now, I guess. I head to the post office and go to enter when I hear,
I'm on my legally allotted break. Really, I'm supposed to be here.
And I can't just let that go.
Why? Does it look like I'm up to something?
With almost no pressuring whatsoever, he spills the beans. Giles here works in the lab at the Ministry of Accuracy and Morale. Some of his test subjects went missing because he is not in the habit of making sure the sprat enclosures are actually closed. I know where this is going, so I agree to look for the sprats down in the maintenance tunnels when I have time. Inside the post office, it's clear that this is the back of the building, but the corporate commander doesn't even give me a second look, so I guess I'm alright to be here. I talk to the lady at the first counter.
Welcome to Halcyon Parcel Service. Deliveries guaranteed within standard margins of accuracy.
And she tells me I'm in the wrong line for parcel signatures, so I go to window B.
Welcome to Halcyon Parcel Service, where all parcels are guaranteed to be delivered within acceptable margins of certainty.
I tell her I'm there for a package for Celeste Jolicoeur.
Let me just look that up for you.
And she tells me the package is already out for delivery. I think I'm starting to understand why Patrick Sherrill did what he did. The worker then gives me the address to where the parcel was sent. I head to the estate, and there's a delivery unsuccessful tag on the door. Back to the post office I go. I head back to window B because I am smart, and I tell her I have a notice to pick up the parcel.
I must respectfully ask that you calm down, please. Parcels must be picked up at window A.
I go back over to window A, hand the worker the notice, and she asks me to present proof to verify I am Celeste Jolicoeur's proxy. I used persuasion to tell her to feast her eyes on the drip.
Yes, I can see by your eccentric mode of dress that you must be one of Ms. Jolicoeur's associates. Everything seems to be in order. Here you are, one parcel. I hope this has been a pleasant and satisfying...
Yeah, whatever. With the package in hand, I head back to Celeste to wrap up this, what the fuck happened?
Hey, careful. Don't go running around in the middle of a crime scene. You mean Ms. Jolicoeur? She was reported for practicing a subversive aesthetic. We found her in her office, working on something perverse. She didn't cooperate, so we had to put her down.
I guess Celeste's knack for the eccentric garnered the wrong kind of attention. She was a whack job for sure, but I don't think that warranted being gunned down in her own store. Once most of the guards clear out, I loot Miss Jolicoeur's body and find the key to her office. I let myself in and find my outfit, Chimera, wrapped up on her desk. This outfit sucks.